I think everyone should learn basic medical techniques. How many of you know how to properly give CPR? Now, how many of you know how to give CPR to a small child or an infant? There are many people that don't know actually how to give CPR to adults, and even more that don't know how to give CPR to a small child or infant. When administering CPR in a child, if you were to give a child CPR the same way you would an adult, you would kill them. You would crush their chest, and they'd die. It's going to be one hand, you're going to keep on their chest instead of two for a child. And then for an infant, it's going to be the same way as you would an adult, but your thumbs, and it's going to be not as much pressure because, again, you would kill them. Now, not many people understand how to do that because they're not certified at all. So it's not just CPR people don't understand how to do, but things like learning how to stop someone from bleeding, along with stopping them from getting an infection while bleeding, or stopping an allergic reaction is very important to understand how to properly do as well. Emergencies happen when you least expect them, and you could either be the one that can help them or let them die because you don't know how to help. According to the American Heart Association, only half of Americans claim to know how to give CPR. Only 1 in 6 actually know the correct technique, and significantly less understand how to properly give CPR to a small child or an infant. Administering CPR could triple someone's chance of living. It only takes about 5 minutes for someone to bleed out and die. So learning how to properly place a tourniquet on someone and keeping pressure on a wound and cleaning the wound so it doesn't get infected could help save them from dying while you wait for help to arrive. Some people say, I'll never be in that situation. And, you might be right, but emergencies don't wait for the right person to show up. They happen unexpectedly. It could happen anywhere. They could happen at school, work, the middle of a grocery store, or even in your own home. And help isn't going to show up always going to show up in time to save a life. It only takes an hour to get CPR certified, and it took me 10 minutes to understand how to properly pack a wound and then proceed to keep pressure, stop an infection from arising, and stop someone from bleeding out. And it only took 5 minutes for me to learn how to properly put a tourniquet on somebody. When I learned how to do this, the purpose was to know how to quickly do it during combat. But it can be applied to everyday emergencies as well. My brother and I have always been clumsy individuals. As you can see, I currently have a brace on my hand. I also have an ongoing ankle injury. Knowing basic medical techniques and when an injury could possibly be life-threatening is very important to understand. For example, about 5 years ago, my family had won a basket in a raffle. And in this basket, it included many items, one being a sharp spatula. One day, as the basket was sitting by my kitchen entryway, along comes Ray, my brother, running. All of a sudden, blood, it's everywhere. He had sliced his leg. And this wasn't just a tiny cut, it was a very deep cut. And we had to think quick. We ended up being able to successfully stop the bleeding. Not only did we stop bleeding, which is very important, but we were successfully able to clean the wound and prevent an infection from arising. Ray ended up needing stitches and now has a huge scar on his leg from this incident. We were lucky in this situation because we know techniques like this, but we are also lucky because my father had been taking free medical equipment from his work, which he works near or in a jail and takes, what are they called? Incarcerated individuals to the hospital near him. So he was able to steal the equipment. Anyways, because you never know when you're going to accidentally run into a spatula. So equipment like this is very important to have. Or when you don't know when you're going to perchance be in a very extreme game of gator ball. And all of a sudden, you hyperextended your ring finger. And now you have to find a way to stop your hand from swelling. It is on fire, and you have to drive home. And home is an hour away. So you need to figure out how you can safely get home without having to drive with one hand so you can move the gear shift. It doesn't take long to learn basic medical techniques like this. You can either save a life or let someone die right in front of you. Don't be a part of the percentage of Americans that would rather watch someone die in front of them because they're too lazy just to take a few hours and possibly learn how to save a life. Thank you.